Hi guys, and welcome to today's tutorial. In the tutorial today we're going to install macOS Sierra with Clover using OVMF onto our unRAID servers. We'll do a clean install onto a fresh vdisk. So let's get to it, and here's the vid.
Crack it.
Okay guys, so let's install Sierra as quickly and easily as possible. So first thing I'm going to do is scroll down and choose a template. I'm going to choose a Ubuntu template to base this machine off. We need to give it a name. I'm going to call this macOS Sierra, and I'm going to give it one, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 CPUs, so basically 8 cores. I'm going to give my virtual machine 4 gigs of RAM. So basically fill this out for the type of hardware you have. Make sure your machine type is on Q35 2.5 and your BIOS is set on OVMF. First thing to do is to click on to install ISO, and you should have copied your Sierra Clover image over into your location where you store your ISO images. As you can see, mine's here, my Sierra Clover ISO, so I'm going to select that. This is the install disk that we're going to create. I'm going to create one for 50 gigs for this install, and we're going to copy these locations to Notepad so we have reference to them for later. So first we'll copy the install ISO and put the location, and then vdisk location next, and copy that. So there we have the install ISO location and the disk location, and then scroll down. There's nothing else we need to fill in here at all because we're only using this template to help us set things up to make it a bit easier. So just to recap, we need to give it a name, give it the amount of CPUs and memory we want the machine to have, fill in the install ISO location, and to choose our primary vdisk location, set it to auto so it creates a disk, and copy the location, give it a size, and we make sure that start VM after creation is unchecked, and click on create. Now if I scroll down, and there's the virtual machine we just created, the macOS Sierra. So now we want to left click it and go to edit XML, and so what we want to keep in this file is everything from the bottom OS tag and up. Basically this has our NVRAM file that was created when we created this virtual machine, and that ties in with the UID number at the top. So what we're going to do is we're going to just copy from there, and we're also going to put this, I'm going to call this header, into our text file. So now in our text file we've got the location of the install ISO, we've got the disk location, and we have the header of the virtual machine containing the virtual machine name, UUID number, and how many virtual CPUs we have, and also our NVRAM location for our OVMF BIOS. So basically we don't need any more of this XML, so we're going to now delete it out. So now what we need is, if you download the file in the description and unzip it, you'll have a file called Sierra KVM unRAID, and you will find the following files inside, and here is the file you're interested in, which is the Sierra file called Sierra OVMF XML, and this will have part of our XML in. And also we need to, okay, so we'll bring up our text file that we just put our information into, and the first thing to do is to copy the header down to this OS tag here and paste that into your XML file, and press enter to go on to the next line. And now we bring our XML file from the text file and copy the bottom half from where it says features here. This goes onto this line here. It may not be line 28 for you, because depending on how many virtual CPUs you have, etc., but it goes beneath the closing OS tag. Now I'm just going to click update, basically just to save this file in case I make a mistake now. And now we can just go back into the file, and there's a few things we're going to have to change. So as we scroll down, we can see in this area here we have the source file, and it says install ISO location. So now we need the install location for our ISO file. So as we copied this, we know that's the location of that, and we'll put that in here. And now we'll scroll down, and we need to do the vdisk location. Delete that out. And here's the vdisk I've just created. And paste that in. So anyway, if you scroll down, there's one more thing you're going to have to put in. You're going to have to put in your Apple OSK key, as you did before. If you don't know what an OSK key is, please see my other video which explains what it is and how to read your OSK key, but it's necessary to go in there. Another thing you're going to notice which is different in the XML of this VM compared to our El Capitan VM is that the CPU type is now penrin, and I'd just like to thank Peter SM on the unRAID forums when reading through his comments, pointing out that we need to do that, as I had problems when I wasn't doing it, and now everything seems fine. So that's everything we need to do. So all we need to do now is to click on update, scroll back down to our virtual machine and click on start. And quickly start the VNC. So as you can see, we're into the bootloader. So anyway, just let this boot through. I wish I'd actually used the verbose boot. I'd recommend that you guys do that. Just to do that, press the space bar in Clover once it's on the on your image, and then scroll down and tick the verbose boot. It just means you can see what's happening when it's loading, and not just a progress bar. Anyway, I'm going to leave this and come back to you once it's loaded. Okay, so we're now into the installer, and I'd love to say that Sierra brings a better experience with the web VNC mouse, but it doesn't. Anyway, so basically choose your language, and now we're going to need to go onto disk utility. Now we need to click on the uninitialized disk, and we want to click erase, and I'm going to call this OSX. Leave everything else as default and try and get the mouse down to erase. Click onto erase, and now it will partition and format and erase our vdisk. Okay, so once that's done, click on done. We can close disk utility now and click on install macOS. Now we need to just click on continue. And it's just the normal Apple agreement to agree to, and just select drive we just formatted, and next. And it says Sierra will be installed on the disk. It says it's going to be 7 minutes, but I highly doubt it will be. Okay, so the machine's rebooting. You just want to check it's on boot macOS install, and I'm going to press spacebar and choose a verbose boot this time, so I can see what's going on the screen and it's not just a progress bar. Then click boot Mac with these options, and this writing here you can see is perfectly normal. Just need to wait and let it go through. And when the computer's finished this part, it will reboot and then finalize the installation. Okay, so now installation's complete, so it's time to choose our location and choose keyboard, continue again. Services. Skip signing in with your Apple ID. So put your name in. I'm going to have to change the icon, I think. An eagle. And put in password. And pick the time zone. Now we just wait for it to set up, and then just setting up the keyboard, And there we have it, we're booted into macOS Sierra. There's a few things we need to do post-install, so the first of which will be to go back to the file you downloaded earlier. And put that into a share. I have a share here called test, which I'm going to put into here. So now my Sierra KVM unRAID files are being copied into here. Now I'll go back to the virtual machine and connect to the same share. Type SAV :// and then the IP address of your server, and your password, and there's my share, and let's copy the file onto the desktop. And just to fix the mouse, I'm going to install my favourite remote desktop software, which is Splashtop Streamer. Now if you don't have a Splashtop account, you'll just need to set one up. They're free to do so, so just set that up and then log in. So double click the EFI mounter, it will ask for your password. It will say that it's found multiple EFI partitions, and that's because the install CD is still attached. That will be the first disk 0. If you want to be sure, just go to Applications, Utilities, and open Terminal. Type in diskutil list, and there you can see that our disk 0 is our install media, and the disk 1 is the vdisk. So we can close that now. So just click onto where it says disk 0 and then push the downward arrow, and so it says disk 1 S1. Click OK, and then mount. We want to delete that folder. And then if we go into the unRAID KVM Clover files and copy this folder here, and now we'll see inside we have all our Clover configuration that we need. So now we can shut down this virtual machine. Just refresh the page. Now it's shut down. I'm going to go back to the XML and now scroll down, and we're going to remove the Sierra Clover ISO. So I'm going to remove this part out and delete that. One thing to change here is I'm going to change this from HDC to HDA, and also take out this line for the address, and click on update. So click on Start and go to Remote. Now you see we've only got two options here now, just to boot from the recovery hard drive or to boot from macOS X. So we're going to boot macOS X, so press enter, and here we are, booted back into the operating system. So guys, there we are, that's macOS Sierra running on KVM Linux with Clover. We've now removed the disk image and it's just booting purely off its own hard drive. I have noticed that the machine is a bit laggy. I passed through a graphics card to see if that made any difference, and it was still a little laggy, but I'm sure you guys will find ways of improving all of this. Well, if you happen to enjoy that video, I'd really appreciate you giving it a like, and if you want to see more videos from me, then why not subscribe to the channel. Anyway guys, whatever you're doing for the rest of the day, I hope it's a good one.